You're listening to the Tumbling Saber Podcast, a member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Check us out on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com, on iTunes, Facebook, and Twitter, and take your first step into a larger world. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 86 of the Tumbling Saber Podcast. My name's Kyle.
My name's Corey.
My name is James, not Jimmy.
The preemptive warning, Corey.
Okay, and it's Z, not Zed.
In the States.
Warning, boys.
South of the border.
Whatever.
We are a global show. I think anything flies, but considering Corey was brought up on Zed, officially speaking that is, it feels almost a little bit treasonous that he's going with Z. So hard on the Z.
I like the Z. The Z is with me. I gotta be me with a Z, man.
Well, you rhymed me with Z and then Z with me. I see why you like it.
Wow. Alrighty. So, the end of another weekend. This was like a typical glorious summer weekend. How did you guys enjoy it? James, what's new in your world?
Wow. I took the two oldest kids camping, and I got to tell you guys, I've been looking forward to telling you about it. The camping was tremendous. Seriously though.
Right, you were about
I was 15 minutes from home.
So?
No, 15 minutes from home. There's a great provincial park, and it was intense. We really had a good time. The weather was, like you said, outstanding. Warm, sunny, cloudless, beautiful beach weather, and our campsite was, steps away from the park for the kids. My kids are 5 and 3, so steps away from the park, steps away from the bathroom without any of the smell. A few hundred steps away from the beach, and we just soaked it all in. Campfires and hot dogs, marshmallows, swimming. Really tired kids. We enjoyed it, and now I'm super exhausted and ready to do the show.
You need that, man.
You mean not ready to do the show, but doing the show anyway?
No, I am ready. I feel actually, you escape into, well, it's not really the wilderness at a provincial park, but you get away and unplug for a bit, and I am geared up and ready to do the show. Looking forward to it.
Dude, it's awesome. Like, I think we're all kind of exhausted, but we're invigorated in a way too, because, like, honestly, our summer out here has really not been great. Like, I think, we miss summer almost. Like, usually the beginning of July is the hottest days of summer. So this weekend was absolutely perfect. Like, bit of a breeze today to keep you cool. Yesterday was a little dry, but yeah, I'm glad you went camping, man.
Oh, it was great.
I went to a rib fest on Saturday down in the next province over there, not too far, to go see my folks. That was pretty awesome. It was like a fair as well. Got the kid on some rides, and then today was all about the boating. I'm getting blonder by the day, man. It's crazy. Like, I'm telling you.
Would you giving yourself some frosted lettuce up top? What are you doing?
I don't know, man. Like, it's just, I looked at my eyebrows in the mirror today, and they're like, it's crazy how blonde they are. It's insane. Like,
Corey's going to his hairdresser, getting frosted tips, and he's doing that thing that the girls used to do in the 80s. They're like, oh my God, the sun it's coloring my hair so much. Who could believe it?
Oh, I'm telling you, it's been a while. I haven't, we every chance we get to get out on the boat, and it's been awesome. Like, a day like today, like, feeling really more and more confident as a captain. Like, now I'm knowing the times that we went out before, like, talking to people out on the water now, it's like, yeah, like, it's rough for everybody in those kind of conditions. And, I just nailed it, everything in the past couple of weekends. It's been awesome, man. So
calmer weather.
Dude, my confidence is there.
I feel like we're always busting on you for this boat, but frankly, I don't think you could call yourself captain if every time you talk about it, you say, I'm gaining more confidence in parking it. You should call yourself first mate and eventually graduate to captain once you feel confident in parking it, so much so that, like, it's never a big deal.
No, whoever's at the helm is definitely, there's got to be one person in charge, and that's definitely me. But, don't get me wrong, it's not like we haven't had any accidents or anything like that, but I mean,
you had one accident.
Yeah, the first day out. Yeah. But everyone thinks up their propeller at least once. Even my dad did it this summer. I laughed at him. But anyhow, yeah, it's awesome, man. Like,
I lied.
coming-
I said I hate busting on you. I love busting on you.
it's been
That's why
good.
we created Sith Disturbers. So we can have an extra show just to keep banging on them.
Well, so far,
I'm
so
just
good.
kidding.
You guys, I'm gonna send you guys some pictures later. I took some pictures today, and you're gonna get more of an idea, like the place I'm chilling, and we're gonna go out one day because it's just too awesome, man.
Are you
This
on?
Bay.
Are you on Lake of Two Mountains, Corey?
I'm on Lake St. Francis or St. Francois.
Okay.
It's beautiful. It's all so much sand. Like I go to this bay, and it's all sand, and it's pretty much like 2 to 3 feet deep. So like kids can walk around, and everybody's like just partying, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, you know what? This morning, like, yeah, this weekend's been a complete blur. So unbelievably busy, and like the whole design of it was to burn the kids out. Let's just run these 2 kids ragged and see what happens, because we have trouble putting them to sleep. They're both Energizer bunnies. Yeah. Anyway, so we just tried to run the kids ragged, and instead, my wife and I are the ones that are exhausted. But can't complain. It was just a glorious weekend.
Yeah, it really
But,
was.
with all
super
that
nice.
being said.
Yeah, enjoy it, because I mean that was pretty much almost it. I would think, not necessarily. Like I want to be optimistic, but
That's
this is-
not optimistic at all.
We have all of August.
Literally, that's not optimistic. That was basically the opposite of optimistic.
it is in a way. But I'm trying to be realistic as well, in the sense that we're moving into August, and it's always all downhill. So-
Realists are what
No, August
pessimists
is a good
call
month.
themselves, Corey.
Bah.
No, August is always a good month.
Agreed.
We're good now. We're gonna be good until
Mid-September.
mid-September. We're gonna have we're gonna have
An Indian summer.
an extended summer.
Nice.
But Corey, Rib Fest. Let's have a quick roundtable here. Pulled pork, overrated, underrated?
Overrated. I think it was a big fad that hit here early turn of the century, and everyone kind of went crazy for it at first, but I had some last night, and I mean, this is international winning barbecue stuff, and I was just like, meh. Like, I didn't even want the whole thing. You know what I mean? It's overrated. It is what it is.
I'm going to disagree and say overdone. Too many people do it, and there's a lot of like mediocre pulled pork out there. And this one that won awards was obviously not as good as it should have been, because a good pulled pork sandwich, it's hard not to eat 4 of them.
It depends with the mood. Like, pork's not necessarily my favorite meat. And I don't know.
Were you
like,
doing
barbecue
beef
sauce
ribs?
Too, isn't? They had beef ribs there as well.
But that's not
I
what
did
you were
not
doing.
Do the ribs. No, I didn't do the ribs.
What? You went to Rib Fest and didn't do the ribs? And you're complaining about the pork?
No.
You don't make friends with salad, Corey.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, pulled pork sandwiches, highly overrated.
So what was good there then?
I've been there like 3 years in a row. To be honest, I've been disappointed almost every year. There was one year I went where the ribs were excellent, and I had tried.
So this year you didn't
lemon
have them?
Pepper chicken. This year I didn't have them. No, I mean it was 4 p.m. when my parents wanted to eat as well. It was like we're not going for the early bird special here. It was like 33 degrees outside. Like I was just like, I'm not exactly that hungry right now. I usually eat around 6:30, 7.
Fair enough.
I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to blend your takes. Like, James, yeah, if you find a good pulled pork, you hang on to that thing for dear life. But it's so overdone.
It really is.
It's so overdone now. Like, it's almost impossible to find a good pulled pork now. Like, I have a smoker here, and like I do it from time to time, and I enjoy it. I'm not a pitmaster by any means, but it turns out okay. But the stuff that I churn out is no different than most of the stuff I keep buying when I'm out and about. And I'm not talking about like Wendy's pulled pork sandwich, like not that garbage, like places that tout themselves as legit barbecue. Like this, I can do this.
As long as you can cook the meat properly, you know what I mean? Like you can smoke it properly. It's only going to get smoked so much. Like there's only so much you can do. So really their specialty that you're really looking at is the sauce. And that's what they had outside a lot of these tents, is people like giving you a popsicle stick with sauce on it, saying it's the sauce that makes it,
Well, yeah, but I was just going to say that's the exact problem, is people rely on the sauce to make it, and so they let their pork be dry and shitty, and you can't, that sauce doesn't make up for it that much. You need to have good pulled pork to start with, and then, yeah, I mean, good sauce is important too, but I wouldn't, if you rely too heavily on the sauce, I think you're in trouble.
And I think anybody with a little bit of like mad scientist to them can churn out a good sauce. Like just open your pantry, ketchup, some molasses, some spices,
Worcester
vinegar, some
Worcestershire.
Tabasco, whatever, man. Like you just throw all that stuff in a pot, and there you go.
Chili
There's your
peppers.
barbecue sauce, and you just tweak it here and there, and you can call that your unique barbecue sauce, and it's probably going to be pretty good.
My problem with barbecue sauces is that I find just there's not enough, or there's barely any of them that are actually spicy. They're all got a bit of zip, a little tang. I want something that punches me in the face a bit,
Oh, I've got one here that punches you in the face. It's pretty damn good. I can't get enough of it. My jar's almost empty, so if you want some, you better come. I figured it's a habanero honey.
Oh, nice. I got a
It's from
spicy one
Tennessee.
too. That
It's
like,
really
it's
good.
generic. Well, it's like small batch generic, but it's still generic. I got it at the local grocery store, and it's actually really spicy, Corey. I'll send you a photo of the pic. I can't remember the name either.
I'll dip a popsicle stick in it. I'll FedEx it over to you, Corey.
Nice.
Uncle Bill's, Uncle Fred's. It's like really a basic, stupid name like that, but it's quite good.
All right, can we start talking about Star Wars now?
Can we stop or
but
start?
I want. I want Bradley's input. I feel like as the resident Southern guy here on the network, we need Bradley's intake on Southern barbecue. What are we doing wrong, Bradley? Where is it at? Because Bradley's going to say it's Texas is where it's at, and it's hard to fault that. But if someone from Carolina is listening, their back's going to get up. If someone from Tennessee is listening, they're going to lay claim. I want to know. I need some answers about this whole Southern thing.
Louisiana.
Yeah, I feel like they're a different breed though. Like they've got other stuff going on.
Yeah, they got the Cajun vibe.
Yeah, exactly. And that if I went to New Orleans, I don't think they'd have to roll me out of there. Man, that stuff's good. Anyway, yes, Star Wars. Okay, so the biggest news to drop for sure last week, the biggest news piece that John Powell has been hired to score the Han Solo movie. And of course, it's for me anyway. I don't know about you guys, but it's the thing that I have the least to say about. So I can't imagine this thing's going to take too long. Are either of you guys familiar with John Powell?
Indeed, I am.
Oh, there you go, Corey. The floor is yours.
Corey,
Well,
before
I
you
mean-
start, you were familiar with him before, or you're familiar with him now that he's been assigned that
Well,
job?
That's James. Good digging question.
that is a good
James,
dig.
you're going to be the investigative journalist here.
So what it is, once I seen his body of work, I'm familiar with a lot of it. Like he's done a lot of animation. He did Shrek. He did How to Train Your Dragon, which is awesome. He did Kung Fu Panda.
Agree.
I'm a big
I like all
fan
those.
of How to Train Your Dragon. Huge fan. I love Jay Baruchel. He's my boy. I cried.
Montreal boy.
Absolutely,
He did The Bourne Identity as well. Not all of them, I don't think.
all of them.
All of them, eh?
I think he did all of them.
Interesting. But Bourne Identity.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, but like looking at all this stuff, I'm going, yeah, I've seen all those movies, seen all those, I got it. But nothing really jumps out at me going, oh, I remember that cue from that movie. Like I remember impressions from the movies, but I can't say I'm like, oh man, John Powell's been hired. Great, we're in good hands.
Yeah, I know
You
what
put
you mean.
Led Zeppelin in Shrek. That's pretty good. Actually, I guess that wasn't him who put it there. Actually,
Well, I think the main thing for me, what I'm going to want to take away from it is I'm going to want to watch The Bourne Identity again, because not only is that one of my favorite films of all time, you can watch those bodies of work now with a new perspective, kind of like analyzing it a bit if you want. And a good thing to say about it is that you don't have anything to say about it, which is kind of the way a movie should be in a way, like it flows, right? Like the music's supposed to work with the movie, and it did, then it did its job in a way.
I don't know. I know like a defenseman in hockey or soccer. If you're not noticing that player, they're doing their job well. But I don't know. I think a score, an orchestral score, is supposed to enhance. I would think.
soundtrack is supposed to enhance. The score, I would say, is supposed to enhance. I think the sound mixer is supposed to be like your defenseman. Like you're not supposed to notice like the transitions and the levels, and that's the stuff that you're not supposed to notice.
I would think more. It'd be noticed if it wasn't enhanced. You know what I mean?
But that's what I mean. Like, I can't remember walking away from those movies going, man, the music in that movie was terrific. And I'm not saying John Powell is a bad choice. I have no idea. I am going to go back and, during this week at work, I will fire up Spotify and I'll poke through his discography just to get a sense of what he's all about. But when you look at stuff like the Bourne series and Kung Fu Panda 1 and 2, How to Train Your Dragon 1 and 2, I'm wondering, he's obviously got his feet wet in a lot of franchises here. I'm wondering if they're still looking for quote unquote the next guy, as in the one who's going to take over from John Williams eventually. I wonder if they're looking for somebody who's experienced in working in a franchise and fleshing out musical themes across multiple films. Possible, or am I reaching? I think I might be reaching, but what do you guys think?
I think you're reaching a bit. I like what they're doing here. It's a new, like you said, they're not going with the last composer. They're doing something new. It's a new vibe, which is super interesting. Like, none of us know what we're really going to get. And yeah, it's good. They're branching out, like in regards to the saga, I would think that they're still looking. We don't even know if that's necessarily their plan, is to have one person coordinating everything, but likely I would think that's the case. But I don't know if it's going to be this guy. Like, standalone films, I think, are going to stand alone.
Maybe the prerequisite to being the guy for the sagas is to be named John.
But are you? Yeah, maybe. Are you a bit surprised that like they would go with someone who's not John Williams, given that so far any decision to go outside the norm has sort of seemed to backfire?
You mean
production wise? Like, every time they seem to take a risk with new direction, or ultimately they've learned from a mistake. I'm not trying to get back into the debate of what happened with the directing and stuff, but are you a bit surprised that like they're announcing someone new and didn't like lock in someone that everyone goes like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like, that's
what?
Well, remember Alexandre Desplat was supposed to do the Rogue One score until they had those massive reshoots, and then suddenly schedules didn't align and they scrambled to get Michael Giacchino. And a lot of people scratch their heads now going, why didn't they just get Michael Giacchino back? And maybe they tried, maybe he was busy. And he's definitely got a full slate of stuff. I don't know. When I first heard this news, the thought did cross my mind going, okay, so now we have John Powell. Who's the next guy? Because something's going to happen and John Powell's going to like fall off the project.
See, that's what
that
I
was
mean.
my first thought.
No, that's didn't even come onto my radar. Like, this guy's got to be stoked about doing this. It's probably a lifelong dream for him to have land a movie like this.
I'm sure it was. Yeah. Well, anyway, I just thought it was interesting.
Well, I think maybe they are learning, because Alexandre Desplat was hired on, and then the reshoots came, and then things went to hell. This time around, we know we're getting reshoots, so they've already got that schedule probably nailed down, and they've already checked with John Powell saying, "Can you fit this in?" Obviously, I would imagine he said yes. So I think they may have adapted their scheduling and their selection process a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited. Every time we announce the next guy to do a Star Wars score, I always kind of do a double take. It's still weird to me to not hear John Williams' name attached to it. I think it will be for quite some time, but like I said, I'm going to check out Spotify this week. I'm going to just float around his discography and see what he can do.
It's definitely not weird for me, man. Well, for standalones anyway, like, it's already firmly embedded in my mind that like, Williams is not the guy for that.
No, he's not.
I like it. It's so interesting. We get to see all these, new people having their own takes on Star Wars.
Yeah, I guess we're all waiting for some clarity, right? Like, is this going to be the recipe for Star Wars standalones? Get a different guy every time, just to mix it up and keep getting fresh talent and styles in?
I have to agree with Corey. I like that.
I would think so, and then they can just pick from that pool every now and again. Get a few guys in the pool, and you seem like a good fit for this film. Are you free? Like,
I really wonder how big the pool is of like legit Hollywood composers, because I'll be honest, I had never even really heard this guy's name until Thursday, Friday last week. Or no, it was announced on the Star Wars show, so that was Wednesday. But I'd never heard this guy's name before.
But I think based on his resume, that's more on us than, because we just don't. I don't think that's something that floats around our circles that we pay attention to necessarily. But he's got a pretty big resume.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, his resume is outstanding.
It is. I think he was nominated for an Academy Award for one of his scores.
Okay,
I'm not sure which one.
Aside from Star Wars, then let me ask you this: is there any other movie that you ever watched where, like, you could say, like, wow, like that score was just amazing, and this composer at this point nailed it?
Yeah, the Fellowship of the Ring.
Indiana Jones.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, aside from John Williams,
Back to the Future. The Back to the Future theme is damn strong.
Mm-hmm.
I think is that Mark Silvestri?
Sounds familiar.
Oh, or I don't know.
Footloose?
Mark Silvestri's.
It was SNL last night. Did you guys watch that? Footloose.
The best.
It was a repeat, eh?
Yeah.
All right, so anyway, I've got my thumb up to John Powell. If for no other reason, then it's better than being a Debbie Downer.
Hell yeah. I'm stoked. This film's just going to be getting better and better in my mind. Like, nothing, the whole Fallout, everything, like, I'm still fully primed for the Han Solo standalone.
Yeah, I mean, we hit a speed bump there, or a speed bump or 5 for a while, but yeah, I'm still pumped for this movie. I still think it's in good hands. I think we're going to enjoy it.
Hell yeah.
Okay, moving along. So a bunch of image dumps last week, and we'll talk about those, which I'm sure the powers that be at Lucasfilm probably don't want us to do, but here we go. So I don't know who had the leak initially, but we saw pictures of Luke, Rey from her Jedi training garb, Kylo Ren, Snoke, Phasma, the Praetorian Guards, Finn. So I don't think we're going to go through each character and what's the best thing about them. We'll just pick and choose. So did you guys have a chance to look at the images?
Oh yeah, I saw them plenty of times over the course of the week.
Okay,
yeah,
so,
I perused through the show notes.
All right, Corey, what about Luke? I mean, I thought he looked terrific, but what were your impressions of Luke?
Yeah, he looked awesome, really cool. Love the new clothing. I want to see how big his suitcase is, because most people are sticking with one piece of wardrobe. Like, it seems like he might have several robes and whatever, which is cool. But that brown darkness I'm liking it a lot. Like his staff, making Star Wars. They had a really accurate depiction of that staff.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm loving Luke. He looks great, man. He looks like he's in pretty good shape, and he's ready to rock.
Any thoughts on Luke, James?
Yeah, I can't disagree with what Corey said. I couldn't help but notice that he and Rey were wearing a lot of gray, very very gray attire on Luke and Rey.
Yeah, very drab, wasn't it?
Gray, specifically the color gray, caught my attention.
Well, gray. I found Rey was more gray, but Luke looked a little more brown to me.
Yeah. At any rate,
I thought he was like dark brown and charcoal.
Charcoal's kind of a grayish color, but
yeah,
so that was one thing I noticed. I thought it was interesting that they're going to make the staff seemingly a big deal. That's, I think, cool and risky. Like,
you mean Luke's walking stick?
Yeah.
What's interesting about that walking stick to me is that it's one piece, and I'm quite certain that Luke must have etched and carved that over his number of years being there. But why that image? Like, what is that image that means so much to him that he carved it into his everyday walking staff? Is it something simple, or is it something that could be really cool?
Well, it could be something he found there as well. Maybe his entire wardrobe. Maybe the whole wardrobe is something he found there. He's borrowing some dead old Jedi's clothes.
True.
My guess is that what he's wearing, or the carving on the stick represents one of the creatures on that planet, some revered creature from that planet.
I would have to think so.
It doesn't quite look like a person, so I'm going with some kind of sea creature from that planet. Hey, no sign of his lightsaber.
No. That's why I say they're going to seemingly make his staff a big deal. It was a big deal when he got his lightsaber in the original trilogy, and for him to not have it is a big deal too. So the staff will have to replace it for a while. Is this a sign that he's choosing, non-violence? Is he like Gandhi on us, or I don't know. We'll see.
Well, let's hold our thoughts on the lightsaber. We got something coming up on that. Rey, and James, you had touched on her that she looks very gray, and that is absolutely true in my mind. That's one of the first things that jumps out. But I think the mere fact that we get this version of Rey, and it's being called a Jedi training version of Rey, I think it's a complete confirmation that at some point Luke relents and trains her. We've been wondering, is Luke going to rebuff her and send her away and refuse to train her? Well, I think we get our answer just by looking at this costume and these descriptions of that costume. Luke's going to do it. He's going to jump in and train her.
We got this Rey's costume, whatever, when the toy was released, and even before that, it leaked prior to SDCC.
The 6-inch, the 6-inch exclusive,
Jedi,
right?
Yeah, it says Jedi training Rey.
Correct. So yeah, I mean, just by virtue of that name, it's game over. At some point, Luke's going to cave in and say, "All right, pull up a chair, we'll do this."
You know what's interesting about that too? Like, technically, if Rey is a Jedi in training, what is she?
That's a Padawan.
Exactly. But why?
Why not
that
call her
word not
Padawan?
be used? Exactly.
That's a good question. That will give fuel to the fire for those that say, there's a prequel boycott going on over at Lucasfilm and Disney. It is a good question. I don't know why they wouldn't just call her Padawan. Maybe it's indicative of Luke doing something different with the Jedi. Maybe, I don't know. I wouldn't know how to answer that question.
I don't know. I don't think she's like skipped that step where Luke looks at her and be like, "Oh, you know what? You are a Jedi already. Like, let's just teach you what it is."
No, I wouldn't think so. He's going to put her through her paces just like everybody else. But again, I mean, obviously the original trilogy predates the prequels as far as when they were made, but they didn't use that term in the OT as well, or either.
This kind of makes sense. Think about it. Maybe he doesn't want to take on another Padawan. Maybe he's just like, "Look, I'll teach you what you need to know, and then back off. Like leave me alone. I'm out. Like I'll help you, but like give me some space. I'm not getting attached to another Padawan."
I got to figure that's part of Luke's mindset. But again, let's lay off Luke for a second. What else do we think about Rey?
Lay off Luke? What? Lay off Luke. Gotcha.
Yeah, gotcha.
Oh yeah. That moment will never die. See that? You know what? We talked about reboots. Last week? If you did a shot-for-shot reboot of Star Wars, are you telling me that they're gonna redo that shot? Like the biggest mistake ever?
Have you seen that meme?
The kiss?
Yeah, the kiss. It's like some say she's Luke's daughter, others say she's Rey's. I say why not both? And there's a picture of them kissing.
Yeah, then that was a serious kiss.
Oh yeah, it was.
And so yeah, you reboot Star Wars, you're doing it without that kiss. I'll tell you that much.
No, it was all intended to make Han jealous.
Are you petitioning, lobbying for the incestuous kiss?
Which one? Which episode are you talking about?
Empire.
Yeah, I don't really care because neither of them know.
Even Lucas
It doesn't
didn't know.
bother me all that much.
But now
it makes
you
so
know.
much. It's like you get that Han moment, when Han looks and she tells him, he's like, "He's my brother," and he's like, "Oh."
But.
Yeah, seriously. But still, whatever. Like, it was innocent.
That was not innocent.
It's not like he groped her. You know.
No, it's just gross.
It is gross. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, hey, whatever. It happened, and I don't know. When you see Lahan look at her, like it adds to it definitely adds a lot of fuel to their fire.
Indeed. Well, it doesn't take much to get those two sparking and flaming. Nothing else on Rey. I think again she looks pretty cool. I'm not totally sold on the color choices of her costume yet, but I think it'll grow on me. I hope it will.
I was just gonna say the opposite. I think the color choices look great. Like, I know it's gray, and we're all like, ooh, but
no, I'm fine.
I think she looks really cool.
I just painted like my entire basement gray. Like, trust me, I'm okay with gray. It's just I'm not sure about that shade of gray on her. I'm not sure that the whole thing works together. You know?
Yeah, it doesn't bring out her eyes enough.
There's at least 50 shades they could have used.
Oh no.
Wah, wah.
Oh no. Guys, my ears are bleeding.
I'm on fire tonight.
My head hurts. Okay, all right. Kylo. I have nothing to say about Kylo. He just looks greasier.
Hey, did you see his scar move?
His scar did move. I don't know if you noticed that, Corey.
That's weird.
Oh yeah, it's magic, you know.
That's the part of Star Wars that you just can't accept. I love it. Like, that's the thing that you can't.
I saw it with my own eyes, god damn it. And I got a reason for it, and the reason was because it's more aesthetically pleasing. And I'm like, yeah, I totally get that, but he got messed up, man. Like, can we not make him like cool for it? Everybody, that's the cool scar. He's got the cool badass scar now. Before he was just like, I'm disfigured and hideous. Don't look at me. He's got a lot of weird stances going on.
Yeah, what's up with all those poses, man? There's some weird, like, why are they posing him that way? Even in the Vanity Fair shoot, he looked so bizarre.
Yeah, he's Disco Kylo.
No, seriously though. Like, does anybody have a reason why he's in these really impractical poses?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because it's conducive to his body type that he's like a bit tall and skinny. I don't know. Like,
what, that he can be like Gumby?
It's odd. It is odd.
Is it
maybe
possible?
Have a weird fighting style.
Man, there's one in particular where there's one in particular that's really awkward. But the rest, I don't know. I can't explain it.
He's gonna have.
I'm flipping through them now, and like they're not all bad, but like there's a couple that you're like, what the hell are you doing, man?
How did you get into that position, and why did you stay there?
It's drunken monkey Jedi style.
It looks like it couldn't possibly be a still. It has to be a freeze frame because like you couldn't stand like that; it would hurt.
Yeah, like it's so weird to get into that position. Like, yoga instructors wouldn't even do that. Maybe that's what he's up to. Maybe he's just trying to set up his own yoga studio.
I've adapted a new technique, Uncle Luke.
Well, do you guys agree though? He looks kind of greasier in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I'd like to see him masked a little more. It seems like he's not going to be masked as much this film.
I can't put my finger on exactly what it is, but I like him better. He's more aesthetically pleasing than he was in the last film.
I disagree. I don't like his costume as much. I don't like his costume as much in this one. Like, I find it's a little more proper, and I don't know. I like his last garb or whatever you want to call it.
Well, the big change is the cape, right? And the cape to me looks almost like a patchwork.
His sleeves look different too. His sleeves in the last one are pretty cool.
I feel like the Force Awakens costume would have been heavy and hot like hell.
Hot. I agree with hot.
Too hot.
Hot. Too hot.
Yeah, this one makes him look a little leaner, I think. Snoke, look at those dreamy eyes. That's all we've been talking about this week.
Twitter has had a field day with
blue
these
eyes. Just get lost in those big blue eyes of his. But for real though, he looks just creepy as hell with those blue eyes, doesn't he?
very, 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 very. It's so odd. It's like he has this creepy innocence about him.
You know, I was going to say, it looks like baby
oxymoron.
eyes. It looks like they used like young eyes to give him some sort of weird innocence. Don't they look like baby eyes?
Yes.
Well, you know what? That's really
That's
funny.
a very good. That's
going-
a good observation.
Going back to The Force Awakens, one of the first things I remarked about him when watching the film, going, nah, that can't be. I think it's when he's talking to Kylo Ren and he goes, even you, master of the Knights of Ren, blah, blah, blah. The look on his face in that particular shot, I go, there's like a boyishness to his face in that scene. But I'm like, well, that's probably just, the way it goes when you're doing CG on this type of guy. Maybe it's not 100% accurate. So, and it's just my weird interpretation. But okay, now we're kind of getting on the same page here. So
There's something to that.
Well, what's interesting about it for me, anyhow, with the I won't call it a bit of a shock, but no, actually, we saw again Making Star Wars, and my good friend Jared Jones drew a little picture of Snoke, and it was quite accurate. Just the colors are like of his skin, everything. Like, it's so odd.
Well, it's almost like a healthy flesh tone, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like when you see all these, we've seen Snoke for what, almost 2 years now, and I really had, even though we saw him only in hologram, it started to seep its way into my mind like that. Like I pictured this guy as like a gray-skinned, decrepit zombie dude, you know?
I thought there would be a much more of a like ashen complexion to this guy. You're right, and it seems like that's not the case at all. Like if they hadn't told us that he's an alien humanoid type, I would have just assumed that he's a human of some age. He could be ancient. He could be just really badly disfigured and powered by the dark side.
They could have lied to us,
look at
man.
him. I think they might have, in a way. Like, think about it. If this is kind of weird. Try and follow me here, but like, it's someone that died and came back or something. So technically, he's not human anymore. I mean, the guy's got 2 goddamn holes in his neck. Like, that's no good.
That's no good.
And he doesn't even need a breathing apparatus or nothing. Like, what's going on there?
Well, I don't know. Is it like a puncture right through, or are they just like gashes?
They look like punctures right through, 2 of them. They look like they go like, I don't know, man.
Well,
Something weird's going on with that side of his face.
You have those 2
and
punctures
neck.
in the side of his neck, and then one that looks like a third one on his face.
I can't even
And
look
then-
at that
and then,
part.
like-
I can't even look at it. Ugh.
Like, what happened to this guy? It seemed like the left side of his face was either attacked or caved in or impacted with something.
Yeah. And even like it looks like his skull was split right in half. Like he done got messed up.
Yeah, I'm
No shit.
boy, I don't know.
It's interesting. Like Mark at TSW has a theory that it's he's possibly like someone could be inhabiting this body, which is it's interesting to me. But I'm like, why the hell would someone want to inhabit this body? Like, look at it. It's hideous. It's disgusting. It doesn't look practical at all. If you can inhabit a body, why not choose anything? Like, it almost seems like it's an amalgamation of like a resurrection or something, or maybe this guy's just really, really old.
Well, maybe
and
it was
has learned to
inhabited
preserve
before.
himself.
Could it be it was inhabited before Snoke got run over by a forklift?
It's possible. It could have been some kind of transition or something. I don't know. It's odd, but it seems like he's almost undead, or he definitely knows a trick of how to prolong life. And that's when I look at him and I see those eyes, his outfit, the skin color now. I think we're going to find out why they call him the wise supreme leader, basically.
Well, you know what? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Like, this guy could be thousands of years old, or he could be like just 80 years old and really beat up. I could not tell you, because 80 years old would still make him old enough to see the rise and fall of the Empire, I think.
I have a feeling he's older than that, to be honest. I think he's a bit more ancient. He's been around.
Like, I have no clue. I could guess if you really wanted me to guess, but like I would say he's probably a few hundred years old. I don't know that he's thousands of years old. I don't know, James. Do you think he's got to? Should he be ancient, or does it really matter?
What's this? No, it's. Yeah. I think I'm gonna say ancient just because Luke's at a Jedi temple trying to like research, the history of the Force and stuff. So I'm gonna say ancient.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, like-
yep, that's the
like-
dovetail.
That's it. Like Snoke pulled the rug out from under him, and he's like, "Oh man, what happened? Like, I gotta go get me some real knowledge."
No, I think James hits the hammer on the head there. Yes, Snoke was around. Yeah, he's got to be really goddamn old. Holy smokes! He probably knows exactly what Luke's looking for.
That's it. Like when he says, like, even in the movie in The Force Awakens, he says, like, you cannot let the girl like find him, or the new Jedi will arise.
Yep. Okay, let's keep going on here. Praetorian Guard. I don't know what to make of
Love
these
it.
guys. Yeah,
I love it.
I think they look cool, but
Their arms are a little weird, almost like a Michelin Man.
yeah, a murderous Michelin Man. I don't know. I won't be sold unless and until we see these guys in action.
Look at the second picture, if you guys have it up. Look at the second picture of them, and if you look clearly, like you could see like the stormtrooper or the First Order troopers, like the stormtrooper face
Underneath,
like, kind of in the red.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
You know what? I look at this and I see an action figure. Like it just looks like an action figure.
true. Even when you look at it, it's true. That's like an image of a real dude, supposedly, but it does look like a toy still.
So I think they, in a way, I want to play with that. So they did a good job.
I like that.
Yeah, these things are going to be merchandised like crazy. I mean, all of these images, right? They're all like these poses. We're going to see these images everywhere. Lunchboxes, backpacks, T-shirts, you name it. Like sticker books. These things are going to be on absolutely everything. So
Yeah,
get
phone
used to
cases.
the sight of
Yeah,
these
you're
guys.
right.
There was a lot of stuff posted on both Facebook and Twitter last week about if the toys on them. Anyhow, there was some leaked images of the toys, I believe, and it almost looks like the blades are made of steel or something like that, but there's also some kind of like electro guard on them or something like that, And one guy has a pike that I'm pretty sure it's going to be electrified or something as well, something that's able to do combat with a saber.
Yeah, entirely plausible. I would say even likely. Yeah, again, these Praetorian guys. Like, what do you think the difference is between these guys and the Knights of Ren? Because we're getting a whole lot of really thuggish looking dudes with melee weapons, really lethal looking melee weapons and masks. Like,
That's like,
is there a
that's like
difference
Snoke.
between these
Oh
guys?
yeah, that's like Snoke giving Kylo a bit of slack on his chain or whatever, and you get your boys. You get to be a little more violent. They're a little more unorthodox, obviously. They're a little more hardcore. The Praetorian Guard will most likely be very regimented and, adhering to very much the rules of the First Order, as opposed to Kylo's boys seem to be like they're going to be like the Lost Boys or something. They're going to be quite unruly and
Barbaric.
Yeah, they'll be submissive to him, but as a whole, they'll be, you nailed it there, barbaric.
Do you think the Knights of Ren even make it out of The Last Jedi, or does Luke smoke all of them?
It depends, maybe.
Not
I
all.
would like to see them.
They never close up ends entirely like that. Someone will survive.
Yeah, I would hope so. Like, maybe we get an attachment to one or something, they're too cool to pass up. Masked characters are too cool to pass up.
Well, these guys are going to get like an entire comic book series at some point. I would say a year from now, we'll be already into a comic book series about the Knights of Ren, and that's where we'll find out how barbaric they are.
Do you think it plausible that the Knights of Ren are Force-sensitive beings? Not necessarily with the amount of, I'm going to say it, metachlorians or whatever to be deemed worthy of being either a Sith or a Jedi, but they got the one-up in a way that Kylo's kind of like, the Force is a bit strong with you, and I'm going to take you with me now and manipulate you.
I think it's plausible. Sure, why not?
It kind of would be cool because, to see them go up against, to be all badass and stuff, they'd have to have some kind of advantage instead of just being, they could be great warriors or whatever, but there's got to be some kind of hook to these guys.
If you force me to guess, I would say they're not force sensitive. I mean, I will say, of course, they very well could be, and I'm perfectly willing to be wrong. But my guess is they're just brutal fanatics, and they worship at the feet of Snoke and or Kylo Ren. That's my take on these guys.
Yeah, it does make a little more sense, to be honest.
Alrighty. So we also got a bunch of image leaks from the 3 3/4 figures. Those are Force Friday's coming up, man. It's like a month and change away. And Corey, I know you're going to be big on this. So what did you think of the packaging? Give us your impressions of these leaked images of the Last Jedi figures.
Yeah, I think I'm in a bit of trouble again. I'm not big on collecting 3.75s. Really not. Like, I'm really into the 6-inch figures. I think they're a lot more detailed and whatnot. But these could be a game changer a bit for me. I like
they
the
look
Clone
great,
Wars
don't
stuff.
they?
Yeah, the card backs, like the shape of the card back is drawing me to them. They look really great, and not only do they look great, they have nice sculpts and nice detail. So I'm drawn to them a lot more than I did the TFA. It looks like they really nailed a lot of the characters again, except for Poe. I guess Oscar Isaac is just his face is so angular that they just can't get it or something in the 3D measuring system or whatever.
There's a Chinese bootleg of a Poe figure, and it looks like somebody just like took a toy and put a match to its face. It's terrible.
He looks like an old boxer.
Oh God, it's brutal.
It's horrible. No one can get it right. The 6-inch, the 3.75 of Poe, it's horrible. It just looks like a dude, regular dude. But no, the card backs, super hot. I'm loving these toys, and there's a lot to speak of about them.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're just getting started. I agree.
But the sculpts are nicer. Like, look at it. Like, Oscar Isaac, his face is so angular and whatnot. But when you look at John Boyega's, he's got a bit of a bubble face. So when you look at his toy, the 3.75 looks great this time around. Not that it didn't in the TFA either, but they obviously changed the sculpts, and they look really nice.
The Stormtrooper looks spectacular.
Yeah.
James, you have any thoughts on these, James?
I do. I'm not, same level collector. I don't collect at all, but I don't look at them in the same way you guys do. But yeah, I thought they looked great. I mean, like I said, there's something about the way these characters are designed. I think certainly they want them to look good on screen, but they just look so cool. I want to play with them when they're in toy form. That I almost think that when they're drawing this up, they factor that in as much as how it'll look on screen. Like, how will it look to play with as an action figure?
Yeah, that's got to be part of the process, the design process at some point. They probably never admit that in the art of books, unless they have and I just missed it. But yeah, at some point they got to go, okay, listen, we got to incorporate some playability and some cool design in this so that the toy is super appealing.
They are appealing.
The practicality of costumes too. Like, take almost for example, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Mike Pasquale. He did this amazing piece of Luke standing on a rock, right? And his cape is just everywhere, like almost like from the original Spawn. Like, yeah, it's such a cool visual, but wouldn't really work on a toy, right?
No, of course not. Yeah, I think the packaging looks great. I like that they put each character on their own card instead of a generic the Force Awakens had Kylo on all the card backs.
Yeah, they were really not appealing. I bought a few of them just for characters, I guess, but that's it.
But I mean, they did have sort of an artist rendition of that character, but also Kylo Ren was in the background. And I was like, come on. But these ones, each package is individualized towards that character, which I find is better. But let's be for real.
I find
let's be for real.
They're brighter, and the angular shape of them is drawing me to them.
Yeah, I'm digging these.
Okay, sorry, Kyle. Quick sidebar. What do you think came first? Manny Faces, the character, or action figure when it comes to design? Did they think hey man, let's make an action figure whose head turns, and then they just drew him, after they saw how they could build them, or the other way around?
I'll go option A.
Yeah, me too. They write the character first.
I don't know. With that particular one, it just feels... I've always thought that it was like designed as like, oh, we can put the head on like this, triangular, and then they drew it. It just doesn't look like what you would draw if you weren't trying to build it. No, just me?
You know, I would love to just be a fly on the wall. You know, Bradley asked us a question a few weeks ago, like, who would you want to check out? Like, somebody who's within the Star Wars milieu, who would you want to watch doing their thing? And he said Ralph McQuarrie. And I guess you go down the chain and pick any of the concept artists and just watch them just pump out hundreds. They could probably do 100 different concepts for one character. And so you'd have to think that at some point, the number of permutations of a concept of character is just mind-boggling. All right, what else we got here? You know what?
Let's talk about some of the toys, man.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, let's start with Luke. I mean, we were touching upon it again before. Again, 3.75, no lightsaber. When you look at Luke, I don't know if you guys are looking at the photos right now, but when you look at Luke, it's a beaten down guy. His head's hanging low. It's very indicative, I think, of what we're going to see, because he doesn't look happy. He doesn't look like his head's held high whatsoever.
No, it's a downtrodden Luke. There's no question about that.
And a saberless Luke.
Still saberless. Yep.
2 for 2.
Again, we'll get back to that in just a few seconds here. You guys know what I'm going to say. Stands out to me.
Chewie and the Porg?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Like
this is magic.
This is
magic.
amazing.
Just the fact that the one was packaged with him, we know that he has a relationship with him right off the bat. Something happens, and I can't remember. We talked about it not too long ago now, but I think we talked about a scene that got a scene with Chewbacca and the Porgs. And I have a feeling, I don't want to say it, but I think it's going to be very Disney-esque, where, you know, we're going to see Chewbacca broken. He's the shadow of the Wookiee he once was, or something, you know? Like, he's broken right now. He lost his best bud. He's mourning. He looks so sad by that campfire, and I think he's going to find a little solace in these Porgs. And who knows? Maybe he'll even take one on. Like, one that's like the runt of the pack or something. One that's, you know, we're going to see Chewbacca we're going to see Chewbacca the nurturer.
Corey, I hope they set it up like
guys.
that. I hope they set it up and it looks like, and this cute little Porg comes hopping over, and then and then Chewie eats it.
That's definitely not going to happen. He's going to be a compassionate little Chewbacca. Like, he's going to have a moment with the Porgs, and it's going to, like, maybe even snap him out of his depression or whatever it is.
Well, you know, the Porgs do look a little bit like that animal that was hanging in that tree on Endor when they got pulled up into that trap. I know the other creature had fangs and stuff like that, but, you know, you look at it from a certain angle, you squint a little bit, that's a Porg. I can't imagine Chewbacca's appetite won't be triggered by these guys. But no, I agree. I imagine a scene where there's just like a dozen Porgs just sort of taken with Chewbacca. They've never seen something like this before, and they just think he's amazing. And at first he's annoyed with them, and he's growling at them and swiping at them.
But there's one annoying little one that won't go away or something. Yeah.
And eventually,
or one that's in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually, they just fall in love with each other, and they just become like little best buds.
I see it in my head, man, in this movie that there's going to be a scene with these guys, and the music, everything. It's going to be like one of those moments where the whole audience is going to be completely enthralled. It's going to be one of those magical moments, kind of. You know?
I have now that I've seen these two in a package together. And of course, there's that children's book that's coming that I'm freaking out over with Chewie and the Porgs. But
really?
You didn't see that?
You didn't? Oh
no.
Oh,
if I did, I might have thought it was a joke.
Oh,
and see, James, it's not Chewbacca, the Porg, and rotisserie. It's just Chewbacca and Porg.
I can see a scene. Like, I don't know if Chewbacca is going to be part of the rumored battle on Act 2 with Luke and Rey versus the Knights of Ren and Kylo. If they do tangle on that planet, I can't see Chewbacca sitting on the sidelines watching it happen unless Chewie's far away. So if Chewie gets involved, I can imagine Chewie getting in over his head, and just before you think like it's over for Chewie, Porgs swarm one of the Knights of Ren or something and take him out.
No, I think that would be awesome, but I don't know. In a way, I just hope they don't make it too
makes sense,
cheesy.
Though, like think of it in the way that now he'll owe a life debt to one certain Porg.
That would be
That'll
sort of
carry around with
ironic,
him forever.
Hey, let me ask you this,
He'll
Corey. Do you think that Chewie finds pulled Porg overrated?
He's not going to do it.
James, did you just name this episode? Pulled Porg sandwiches.
Just pulled Porg, man.
There we go.
That's hot. No, we're seeing Chewbacca the nurturer here. Again, maybe a beaten down, depressed Chewbacca. The Porgs help lift him up. I would like to I've even thought about this now. Like, if it's coming with him in the toy, granted, right away he has a relationship. But if it's one certain Porg in particular, maybe to have a relationship moving forward in all the movies. These guys almost, now that I think of it and think of it in this light, when you look at their eyes and all that, they're almost like droids. Like, Chewbacca's going to have his own, like, living little Porg droid.
It's a funny way to look at it, but they
it.
are pets. Like droids, we keep saying, droids are pets, and yeah, it looks like Chewie's probably getting a pet.
I would hope so. That'd be pretty cool. Maybe this little guy will move forward with the trilogy. And the hype surrounding Porgs right now is at fever pitch, so Disney's taking note, as well as Colin Trevorrow.
Yeah, but do you think is that fodder for $2 in the pot? That's what I want to know.
Whatever you want, man. You make the call.
I think that if
we just got to go out.
Lucasfilm
That's all I
is
care
taking
about.
note, that's what I think.
You know what? But one last note on these Porgs. I think these birds are a lot smarter than maybe we're anticipating. I think
Force
there's
sensitive?
Maybe.
That'd be something.
I wouldn't rule that out. That's why I'm thinking that these birds would not hesitate to get involved in a fight. Like, I think they're smart, and I wouldn't rule out Force sensitivity.
I wouldn't either. Like, the fact that they're on Act 2 on these temple grounds.
Or maybe they merge to become Megaporg.
No, don't say that. I heard this really weird theory about how the Porgs are the ones that we know we're going to see this kind of. We don't know, but supposedly there's some kind of sea monster or some kind of monster on Act 2 that shows up at one point, and it could be like the merging of the Porgs. And I don't want to see that.
I wouldn't want to see that. But I do hope they sell like a bag of Porgs, just like this little 1-inch tall thing. I hope they sell like a sack. I'll buy that.
Not edible, right?
What's that?
They're not edible, right?
No,
Well, for
they don't
Chewie
have to
they
be.
are.
Okay. Like toys. A sack of Porg toys.
Yeah,
Okay.
a bag of like 100 Porg.
Okay, I was thinking candy there when you said
No,
it
but
like that.
actually, you know what? Think about that. You don't have to put it in a bag. You can glam it up a bit, but put like a prop tree with like 30 Porgs in the set, and you have set up this Force tree at home with Porgs perched all over it.
Merchandising. How bad do you think kids are gonna want a Porg stuffed animal, man? If my kid ever watches this movie, he's gonna be like, "Bah, I have to have a Porg."
Well, that's what I said last week. These are going to be the biggest seller from this movie, without doubt.
Not for me, but I'm sure I'll be I'm on board with the Porgs.
Moving on. Anything else jump out with you for the figures? I mean, who's the peg warmer in this set? Are we going to pick on Hux? Is it going to be Hux again?
No, I don't think so. Hux got scooped up. His value's up on the Black Series anyhow. Maybe... I see Finn sitting around a lot still from the TFA.
Yeah, Finn. I mean, and of course it's the same figure virtually, right? He's got the same jacket. He looks like almost the same figure. So I could see that being a peg warmer.
New face sculpt, though, I've noticed, I think, anyhow, from my eye. I think it's
Oh, yeah, it's a new figure. It just looks a lot like the old.
The picture of Paige Rose's sister.
Oh, that looks like a great figure. Like she's either going to be like a hot find or a peg warmer. That's a
Depends
cool
on what you
looking
need to put
figure,
a-
though.
There's always ratios to certain characters, but I think it was one of the boys again at TSW that put this forward. We see a helmeted X-wing pilot falling through a missile silo or whatever it is, and I think it very well could be her in the behind-the-scenes sizzle reel.
No, it could be her. I
mean, look,
I look at that body and
similar
I
helmet.
see dude. Like I don't see a woman's figure in that.
Well, that's what changed my mind is looking at this toy. Because you look at Rose, and she's like short and squat, and she's super cute, but her sister Paige looks a lot taller and lankier.
Yeah, it could
the person
be.
that was the person falling in that behind the scenes thing looked very lanky a bit.
Yeah, I agree. But there's a cover of a book coming out on a Journey to the Last Jedi called Cobalt Squadron, and on the cover is Rose, Paige, and on the right is a person dressed up in this pilot or bomber's gunner's suit. And I think it's that guy who we see dying or falling at least in the behind the scenes reel.
Yeah, it'd be kind of be a bit of a giveaway to give that much of a like. Obviously, they're going to want to develop the character of Rose to give that away in the sizzle reel, but again, no faces. I'm pretty sure that's the fate of Paige to develop Rose's character as well in this movie.
Yeah, it's a completely fair theory. 3PO looks good. And Kylo Ren walking around, and it's another helmetless Kylo Ren figure. Unless
you
they
can
stuffed
pose him
a
in
helmet
really,
in that
really
box
weird
somewhere.
poses. They should have given him extra joints so you could like really.
No,
Really
just make
yoga
him
him up.
33 points of articulation.
not even articulation. Just make him like rubber, and like you get that wire met chicken wire inside him.
Yep, that's what he needs.
Well, I said it before. I'd like to see him masked a little more, but he's a great actor. So what he pulled off when his mask was off in the TFA, I do want to see more of.
Yeah, I agree. Anything else on the toys? Actually, you know what? We're gonna break from tradition, and we're gonna tackle a question here since it's pertinent to the discussion. So from Tim at the Nerd Room, he asks, "Hey, Tumbling Sabers, could the absence of Luke's saber in all leaked action figure images be protecting a plot point similar to the Rey figure in The Force Awakens?" What do you think, guys?
Yes, could be definitely.
No, I don't know. I'm on my end. I'm pretty much leaning like 75% to the fact that Luke does not have his saber in this film. Like the old green's gone. Kylo very well could have green.
You think the crystal is Kylo, or the crystal in Kylo's saber is Luke's green?
Very well could be. Like, you're not giving me my own saber. I'm just going to, like, my own kyber crystal. I'm taking yours. And, I can't see it being any more pertinent to the story if that is the case. If Luke is missing his saber,
Then
they should be like,
Kylo,
I
if
dropped it in
Kylo
the
has
lake.
it, he stole it. There's no he took it from
Yeah,
Luke.
exactly. He
Come on.
stole it when whatever happened to at the temple. Like, it's not like Luke's like, well, I slipped one day on Act 2 and it fell into the ocean and I can't swim. Like, there's got to be a pretty good reason as to why he doesn't have his lightsaber, and that would be the best explanation in my opinion.
So James, you're a yes. Corey, you're a no.
Yeah, I guess so. I think they could be hiding something again, but the fact that he's got the staff, it's 2 toys now that he's saberless.
Well, I'm
going
to break the tie, and I'm going to say yes, it's protecting a plot point, because the inverse for me is too aggravating to think about. And it's something I mentioned last week, that I can tolerate a version and probably enjoy a version of The Last Jedi where Luke has no lightsaber, but I don't want to have to do that. Like, I really, really, really want Luke to have a lightsaber in this movie. I don't want to wait till 2019 for then to ask the same questions again. Is Luke finally going to get his lightsaber? We've been teased enough with Luke, right? Like, we waited so long to see Luke, and then we had to wait till the end of the movie, and then we got 10 seconds of him. And I think
I agree.
pushing us.
Yeah, we're beating the same drum there. I totally agree.
We've seen Rey in the behind the scenes with both staff and saber. We see her fending off guys, so that who knows?
I just had an idea. Sorry, remind me after about the staff, to bring up the staff again, Corey. Sorry to cut you off.
Well, that's where I'm going with this. Look at it again. Touching back on the toys, you look at Rey's toy. She's got both the saber and the staff. In Forces of Destiny, they're not letting go of that staff. Like, the staff is also in the 6-inch figure. There's something important about this staff, and I'm starting to hang my hat on that one a bit. And I know Kyle said you didn't like it that much, but that staff looks, I don't know, it could be her bag. It could be her fighting style.
Well, what about this?
And, Luke ends up with his old saber,
Definitely, we talked about, like, the first Jedi to, like, figure out how, on one show we talked about the first Jedi to use lightsaber. What if they're going back to, like, ancient training before the Jedi had their lightsaber? So step 1 is, like, train with this staff. Step 2 is train with the lightsaber. Like, they go back to a training that is new to us as movie watchers, but is very, very old in terms of Jedi. And the more I think about it, like, in Rogue One, we also see a staff, and that seems to be his. Like we get the idea he's not force sensitive necessarily.
I'd say Chirrut's force sensitive.
Well, okay, sensitive might be the right word. He's not necessarily a force user, but he's force sensitive. But even if he's not, he's definitely in touch with the history of the temple and stuff. And if he chose that staff, it might be more than just, like we just always said, like blind guy walking stick kind of idea, but maybe it means whole lot more than that.
Definitely. And
I like
he
that.
even had he has a kyber crystal in that staff too.
Maybe that was the thing. Maybe the idea of the lightsaber, like maybe those staff kyber crystals are like ancient lightsabers in a way, like the old weapon of the Jedi.
And look at that. I don't know if you saw this one. One of the greatest episodes of Rebels, James, is Trials of the Darksaber, I believe it's called, where Kanan is teaching Sabine to wield the Darksaber, a lightsaber, and he's just so brutal with her. But they start with her and Kanan, her and Ezra start with sticks.
It seems likely that there's steps, although you look at Attack of the Clones and you have 3-year-olds waving lightsabers around in close proximity to each other.
With blast shields on their eyes. Over their eyes.
That may have been a misstep. It's cute, but that may have been a mistake. I'm sure many toddlers were impaled accidentally. But then with a letter written home to the parents going, "It just wasn't meant to be. Sorry."
No Force user should be able to wield a lightsaber prior to finding their own crystal.
I would be okay with that.
Makes sense.
So I have a theory as well, if you care to hear it.
We do.
So what if Rey and Luke are working together and he's training her, and we've seen in the teaser and in the behind the scenes where Rey has the blue and she's using it in these training scenes. So what if there's the middle point of the movie is Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren attacking Luke and Rey, and they're standing off, and Luke's like, he's defenseless. He's got his stick. What the hell's that going to do? And he says, "Can I borrow that?" Or Luke or Rey says, "You might need this." And she goes and fights the Knights of Ren with her staff, and Luke fights Kylo with the lightsaber.
I don't know.
I think that's a super concealed. Like, imagine the moment where Luke turns on the blue again. You don't see it coming,
make
and
sense.
Like Rey says, "Luke, you're gonna need this," and he takes it back and says, "Yeah." And that's the moment where Luke gets like back in the game.
I was kind of touching upon something like that earlier.
I like it.
And I kind of do agree with you, but the only thing that's throwing me off that trail is the behind the scenes thing where we see Rey using the lightsaber against like 3 staffs or whatever at the same time. Unless
but
they're
there's
Praetorian,
also shots of her fighting with the staff as well.
Yes, but it's not against three people.
Like, she could be sparring with Luke, and Luke's maybe using a stick.
Yeah, but he's not using 3 sticks.
No. She's got the lightsaber against the 3 dudes, right?
Yeah.
But when we see her like whipping around the staff, I think it's just a bunch of boxes there instead. Like we don't
She
know.
was beating them good.
So it could be that instead of boxes there, it's supposed to be Luke, and he's maybe using his stick as sort of his weapon against her in those sparring sessions. I don't know. This
He's
could go
definitely
any way.
her. I think the staff's important though, regardless.
Yeah, I mean, there's still
That could be the answer to Tim's question from my point of view. Like, it's concealed in that sense. Like, okay, Rey's got the saber, and she's got her crappy little staff. Like, everyone pay attention to the saber that she's got. Like, let the staff like pass over your eyes, kind of. You know what I mean?
well,
we're
we're all
really
expecting Rey
looking
to
at
have
it.
gone past the staff now.
Yeah.
But what if she
But
lays
I
like
think she's got
a
a connection
Chirrut
to
style beatdown on the Knights of Ren?
It's like, I like it better. This is my style. I like this better.
Only if she has a pea shooter.
But I'm not yet down with the idea that somehow a lightsaber or crystal is incorporated into her staff. I think if she's going to use the staff, it's just as like a blunt object, and she's just going to beat the piss out of people.
I'm okay with it.
Cool. So there you go, Tim. I 2 out of 3 agree that it could be to conceal a plot point. I'm actually hoping it is, because I don't know how long I can go without seeing Luke at
I
night.
agree too, from a certain point of view too. You know.
Okay, we're unanimous that it could be. I mean, we can't say that it's not. It could. Anything could be. We're trying to take a stance, take a position. I say it is covering or concealing a plot point.
I say it's concealing a plot point, but I'm not committing to the fact that Luke has green. That's what I'm saying.
No, I don't think Luke has green. I think if he has a lightsaber
Nice.
in this movie, I think it's going to be the blue. At least for a while.
Yeah.
Maybe Snoke has green, and Luke is going to get it back. Maybe.
Or Kylo.
Yeah. Maybe. So there you go, Tim. I think we tend to agree with you. Last news bit before we get into our binary sunset. So a few weeks ago, the Russo brothers, who are currently working on Infinity War, were sat down with Variety.com and were asked, of course, because that's just the question you ask. They were asked if they would like to do a Star Wars movie. So Joe Russo said, "I sat in a theater when I was 11 years old and watched The Empire Strikes Back from 10 in the morning until 10 at night the day it came out. To say we're obsessed with Star Wars is an understatement. We'd absolutely love to do a Star Wars film." That's music to my ears. I think these two guys are absolute geniuses. And I'm happy with Ron Howard. I'm waiting on Jon Favreau. But I would just die for these two to take on a Star Wars project. It needs to happen. And I'd have no problem with it being a trilogy. I think these two guys are too talented and too good at what they do to waste them on one standalone film. So, James, after seeing the greatness of Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Civil War, I mean, what do you think of these guys? Do you think these guys need to do a Star Wars film?
I will say yes. I think they should definitely do a Star Wars film, but I'm not as gung ho as you. And I'd say a standalone would be I don't think they need to a trilogy. I don't say like absolutely it has to be a trilogy. I'd be probably pretty happy with seeing what they could do with Obi-Wan's story, for example.
Oh yeah, I'd be happy with a standalone, but it's almost like, at the trade deadline you trade for Wayne Gretzky at the trade deadline, and then he walks in free agency. 2 months later.
Yeah.
Like, I'd love to have these guys locked up for at least 3 flicks. Corey?
That's Favreau for me.
Both of them, both of those picks, they've had experience with sagas, epics, more than one film, this cohesive kind of universe. Just wow, though, just the fact that that they watched this movie from 10 in the morning to 10 at night speaks volumes They love Star Wars, which is like should be the first criteria to any director. And I would put a lot of money on the fact that they're on the very extremely short list to do future Star Wars movies. Because, they made a mint for Disney already. They have a very good rapport with the company. And they did a bang-up job. Like, it's amazing that they said this. Like, for sure, it's going to happen in our lifetimes.
It has to.
I would go all in on that.
Well, look at Colin Trevorrow. Like, it seemed like the only thing he needed to do, like, there's 2 boxes he had to tick. I guess make an indie flick to get on the map, and then handle a blockbuster and deliver that to immense success, which he did with Jurassic World. And once we get Infinity War, I mean, these 2 guys are going to have 2 of the biggest blockbusters ever. And maybe these movies will top Star Wars flicks and hit like 2.5 billion.
I have a feeling they're going to, man. I have a feeling these films are going to be... It's the end of an era for this phase of Marvel, so they're going to be epic.
Oh, they're going to be huge, and that's going to put them right in the driver's seat, I think, for a Star Wars project. Did you, speaking of directors who admit their love of Star Wars, Christopher Nolan had a big, huge, I can't remember exactly what he said today. I'm going to try and Google it here quickly. But he said something to the effect of, he credits George Lucas for his entire career. Oh, man.
Really? I missed that.
That's awesome, though. A Nolan Star Wars would be deep, to say the least. Well, I don't want to say Rian Johnson. He's my boy at this point, but he would have been a good choice for the second film of this series, saga or trilogy.
Yeah, well, I mean, Christopher Nolan's great, but do any of his movies have like the sense of fun and adventure that a Star Wars movie would have? Or is he just versatile enough that I get what it takes to make a Star Wars movie. Step aside, you're gonna love this.
No, you're right. Looking at his repertoire there, it's all quite dark.
Like, they're great. I love his work.
Well, I think that's where the parent company comes into play and says, we're going to help you with this part of it.
Or, yeah, I mean...
or Christopher Nolan goes, no, I'm Christopher Nolan. I can do a movie. I can dumb down my genius flicks to do a fun Star Wars movie. Just give me the space.
That's when they say, if you don't want to work with the team, take the door like Lord and Miller.
Oh, jeez. It's tough to say no to that, though, right? Christopher Nolan calls you up one day and says, hey, Kathleen, I'd really, really love to do a Star Wars movie one day. You think you can fit me in the schedule, even if it's 10 years from now? Christopher, I don't know if you're the right
throw us
fit.
your idea.
He'd have to pitch something.
Of course. A whole Inception-esque. That's what I'm thinking. Inception is kind of making sense for this film to me, in the sense that our worlds are going to be turned upside down in a way.
Yep, probably. This is the fork in the road. Okay, that's it. Corey, have you had your say on the Russo guys?
Yeah, love it. I hope it's gotta happen, they get a gig. Yeah, and then I'm kind of on the same boat as you, in the sense that I'd rather see them do saga stuff. Well, I don't know. I don't want to. Actually, I'm not going to make a commitment. But either way, do a film.
Yeah, just get in there. Just get in the house. Get your foot in the door. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back on the other side and do some of our famous patented binary sunset questions. And we're back. And you did not hear Ads' voice, but that's because Ads is ailing. He's got a little bit of laryngitis going on after a week of camping. But Ads, we hope that you are feeling a lot better. And no apologies necessary, sir. We will definitely pick you up this week. And Jamie,
I hope it was worth it.
well, I think I think Ads had a great time.
Of course.
So I think he would say, yeah, I guess it's worth it. But those summertime colds, man, they're a bitch, man. They're so stubborn. Once you like this, they can just linger for a month.
Well, James can relate. 3 kids.
Oh yeah, I can relate. There's no flu season. It's always flu season.
Yeah, just wintertime and springtime. It's the proximity to people. Summertime, you get out. You know.
It's like you spread yourself thin, man. Like, it's a lot of energy you guys expend.
All that stuff. But yeah, anyway. Ads, I hope you're feeling better. It'll be a couple days until you hear this, so I'm sure you'll be doing much better by the time you do hear this. So James, you want to read Ads' question?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Ads. I was also camping. Yeah, I hope yours was also intense. Hello, chaps.
I get you there, James.
Haha, I said it earlier and it went over your head, so I zinged it again.
No, it didn't. It didn't. I just didn't get a chance.
No, I didn't get a laugh, so I'll tell it again until I get a laugh, goddammit. Hello, chaps from Ads. Apologies for the late entry. Well, it's not late. We're doing the show right now, and we have the question. But it did come in a day later than usual. I wonder if maybe he was hoping to have his voice back. Apology for the late entry and non-audio one at that. My camping holiday was really good. However, I managed to pick up a flu bug complete with a force choke style loss of my vocal cords. So this week, one of you fine gentlemen or James will need to read out the question, I'm afraid. Touching slightly on the questions from Mr. Dave Donovan and Bradley.
Ooh.
Last week, rather than pressing the restart button on the Star Wars world and having a new hope, I like that, a new hope, etc. What do you think about a film that fits into the current saga, but from the viewpoint that is heavily from the dark side point of view instead? For example, in A Phantom Menace, Darth Maul appears as the main protagonist, but you only see glimpses of his interactions with Palpatine. Perhaps you could set a film showing what he and Palps are doing along the same timeline as the original film. The boys that come together can be left untouched. The boys that left together can be left untouched to preserve Lucas's work, but the rest could be new. It would be easy to recast if needed due to makeup, etc. for Maul Palpatine, or even use the same actors? ? I'd also love to see in more detail the dark side training of a Sith compared to a Jedi. There was a fan-made film showing the end of Maul's training, which was brilliant. Have a think about that. I'm off to find my voice. Ta-ta. Ads. Oh, man.
I love you, Ads.
Yeah, we miss hearing your voice, Ads, and I'm happy to butcher that up for you. But anytime you want to just jump back on with the vocals, you get your voice back, we'll be happy to hear you.
Get well soon. We wish you to get well. Maybe if Ads followed through on the Seinfeld, he'd know that he'd get the reference. Though I think I just gave it away.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start, guys?
Yeah, I think there's a lot there. I kind of rambled about this sort of on Journals of the Willing last week when I was just speaking to nobody. The idea of seeing a story from the Imperial point of view, it's something that we've been getting a steady diet of, especially when it comes to the novels. And I'm wondering if, I was wondering, I still am, if that's the right path for Star Wars to take. Yeah, because I found myself in Lost Stars, and there's another book where you kind of you get a heavy dose of life on the Imperial side, and you find yourself liking these characters, not because they're cool or they're cool, but what I mean is you kind of empathize with them, and you go, man, these are just like regular people. So,
That's where I was going to go with that a little further too.
Well, go for it.
Well, first I want to touch upon the Palpatine Maul thing. If they're going to do anything dark side related, they should flesh out Palpatine's story, because there's just so much there, what he did behind the scenes. His relationship with Maul, having watched the Clone Wars, it's pretty extreme. Like, he's got him pretty well wrapped under his thumb. Their relationship would be really interesting. Like I was saying, the Imperial attachment. I've only been on Twitter about a year and a half now, and it was really interesting, and I was surprised to learn that there is a huge support and tons of fans that are Imperial supporters. Like, there's a lot of fandom that are like all Imperial, you know, like they love it, and it's so cool. And I think the recent example of that is
they're also Barney
Inferno
fans
Squadron.
from How I Met Your Mother.
I like
True.
Barney.
He was all about the Empire.
Yeah, you're right. But look at Inferno Squadron right now. It looks like it's a super major hit.
Yep, exactly.
Like, everyone seems like, it's true. Like you said, like, these people are brought up. Everything's from a certain point of view. So when you're brought up into something and, you know, you believe in it, you believe in these characters.
But what made isn't what part of what made the OT so great, Corey? The like idealistic good guy, bad guy, white hat, black hat. Like, wasn't that part of the appeal, or does it need to morph now? Like, you can't tell stories like that anymore. They've lost their.
That's exactly what I mentioned on Journals of the Willing. Like, I'm not sure that you can do this with Star Wars. Like, in the books, I think it's a little easier to do. I mean, it worked, and you can ask any Star Wars fan who reads the novels, and I think, you know, to a person, they will say Lost Stars is in their top 3. It's really, really good, and I had low expectations for it because I was not interested in the synopsis. It was like 2 teenage people.
It's a yaw novel too, right?
Yeah, it's a young adult novel. But it was almost like, my initial impression was like Romeo and Juliet type thing, where, you know, they started out together on the Imperial side, and then one defected to the Rebellion, and I was like, it sounds like a little too like sappy romantic. That's not my bag. But I bought it anyway, and it's in my top 2 of books. It was really, really good. But you know, for most of the book, you're living life on the side of the Imperials and going, ugh, God, I'm being asked to sympathize with these people. And you do. Like, you see the moment where the Death Star is destroyed, and you feel bad because they're going through the grief of losing their friends. And it's like, oh man, like, I feel bad for stormtroopers and Imperial officers. This isn't right. So I don't know if they're priming the pump for a movie to come down the line where it's from that side, or if they're just doing this strictly in like the secondary media, like comics and books and the Inferno Squadron / Battlefront. Do they keep that stuff there? And the movies are always going to be, like James said, the white hat, black hat. I think that's probably the way to go. But I also could be being too conservative about it. I don't know. But that's what I hope.
Well, I think that is, I don't even want to say it's a conservative approach, but the company will probably not have the Stugotz to go that way.
Which company?
It could be both Lucasfilm and or Disney. I'm gonna say it like that. I just don't think they're gonna have that kind of the boldness to go in that direction on film yet. Anyhow, but they know they have something there, and there's nothing wrong with feeling for these characters, Kyle. Like, I like that. Like, their galaxy world universe building, you know what I mean? Like, they got a huge runway ahead of them and lots of stuff to play with, and they're starting to play with it. But I do agree with you. Like, best mediums for the moment, comics, novels, and video games. And it seems, again, like Inferno Squadron is on fire, and they're kind of probably drawing the eye of, again, the parent company, saying, hey, we got something here. So there might be more in the works for stuff like that.
There could be, and there probably is. But again, are they ever going to put that never mind on a big screen. Would they ever do that on the small screen? I don't know. But okay,
I think TV's suitable too. They could do it.
like I could see them doing it almost in a way that they're what they're doing with Inferno Squadron. I could have seen that adapted to be some sort of like animated short or whatever. Like it was, and the Inferno Squadron book starts, I believe. Actually, no. I think the whole premise of the book is rooting out the rest of Saw Gerrera's militia. And I don't give a rip about those guys. I barely care about Saw Gerrera. He's a bit of a jerk. So if they wanted to put something on TV where you have these elite Imperials, going after an extremist rebel cell, I could probably get on board. But I don't know if I want to see. I don't know that I ever want to see sort of a Sith, be it Darth Maul, like Ads had suggested, doing some Sith training and then going out after a Jedi Padawan or something like that to hunt them down. Because I know the Jedi are good. There's no getting around that. The Jedi are good no matter how much Palpatine wants to make you think they aren't. So I don't know if I ever want to see that. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't know if they'll necessarily take it in that direction, but again, it's probably more conducive to like a TV Netflix kind of deal, like Snoke again, or not Snoke, sorry, Palpatine and Maul, like everything that Palpatine's done. But yeah, I know what you mean in the sense that, they're bad, the other guys are good, but the Imperials anyhow, they think of the rebellion as terrorists, but when it comes to the Force, that's a whole different thing, and it would be really interesting to see a lot of that stuff flushed out. Like, granted, I haven't read Lords of the Sith yet. I don't know if you have, Kyle.
Nope.
Okay, so I don't know exactly what that flushes out, but there's a lot of stuff I want to know about the Sith, just like Ads. Like, the rule of two, garbage. Like, where the heck did that come from? I get the fact that they're all backstabbing each other and whatever.
I think Darth Bane put that in.
Yeah, that's it. At one point, there was an army of Sith. This is cool. I want to know more.
Right, but would you want that movie set as sort of with the Sith being protagonists?
That's a tough call.
You're asked as an audience member to root for those guys.
I don't know about protagonists, but let's think of it like this, in the sense that twin sons from Rebels, Maul was crazy dark side user. He had his own agenda, but when he died, we saw a different side of him. It was a compassionate scene, and there's something to be said there about Sith training in a way. Like, I don't know.
Well, with everything we saw that went down with Maul, about how he was abused and discarded through his whole life, when he finally dies that way, you kind of did feel bad for the guy. Like, he was just treated like trash for his entire life.
Let's take this on a bit of a sidebar. I have a little note here that I wanted to ask you guys, like, on this vein. So, if Jedi are forbidden to love, does that mean Sith are encouraged to?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how official like this is, but part of Palpatine's backstory, I think it was from, a canceled Lucas work. It could have been, it's totally gonna escape my brain now. But at one point, Palpatine, one of like the turning points in his life was being betrayed by his lover. Like, he was in love with this woman who betrayed him, and that was one of the contributing factors to him going down this dark path. So
yeah, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
I could be wrong on the details. Like, he could have been good and then turned bad, or he could have already been a Sith in training and been betrayed and just accelerated things. I can't remember the details, but
look at Anakin.
What about him?
Like, his entire downfall was caused by love.
Well, Corey, can I take a stab at that, to quote Kylo Ren?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
If the Jedi weren't necessarily discouraged to love, which they were, they're discouraged from, like, feeling anything deeply, right? And the Sith are encouraged to feel deeply, feel hate. Like, so to answer your question, sort of yes. Like it is the opposite.
Get yourself attached. You get yourself attached to something so much that when something were to go wrong, that you feel you're totally okay with whatever you need to do to.
Yeah, I mean,
suppress that.
The
anger.
Jedi were encouraged to love with this empathetic, unconditional love, almost like a platonic thing. But the Sith were encouraged to indulge in their passion.
Right.
Exactly.
So yeah, I would say yeah, definitely the Sith were like, yeah, whatever, go get married, have 3 wives or 10 husbands, do what you got to do, like just fan those flames. What else can we pick apart in Ad's question here? He gave the example of Maul and Palpatine, but it doesn't have to be that. I mean, if they wanted to set a movie in the past with a Sith that we've never met before, but frame that guy as the protagonist in the movie,
you'd almost have to.
Yeah, you would have to detach it from the saga, I think. I don't know that it would work in saga.
You could never root for the guy who killed Qui-Gon. Like, you just can never root for that guy.
Nah. Not
the best
way.
Well,
I guess it would only depend on who he's going after. Like, if he's going after a Jedi, no. But let's say he was going after some hardened criminal that we don't know, or actually that maybe we do know, who's just like a total piece of garbage.
What if he was plotting to kill Dooku?
Like exactly like Asajj Ventress, or what's his name?
I could watch a movie where he's plotting to kill Dooku. I could watch that movie.
Dude, read Dark Disciple. I'm reading that right now.
Or what if you saw like a group, a clan of Sith versus some Mandalorians, set hundreds of years in the past? Does our allegiance to Sabine sort of bias us towards the Mandalorians, or would we be let's root for the Sith?
No, not at all. Like, we know Mandalorians are pretty ruthless, and they have again a pretty vast history, so anything kind of goes in that kind of war. But
I think it all still comes back to the fundamental question: like, should Star Wars movies be about always rooting for the good guys, who we know to be the good guys, or can they mix it up and give us one day a movie or a series or whatnot where the person that is bad? Like, we know the Sith are just garbage people, but we're going to root for these guys anyway.
Okay, check this premise. This could be based like 10, 15,000 years ago in Jedi Sith lordom, where you have a guy that it's a bit of a rehash in a way, but not really. Like, the only story that I would see that makes sense is a Jedi that turns to the dark side. Not so much in the sense that the way Anakin did. Like, Anakin was really manipulated. Like, let's say this Jedi does it of his own accord, by his own realizations. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, yeah. That could work.
Like kind of like Rey does in the next movie.
Possibly.
Ooh. Yee.
But yeah, I mean, I'm talking 10, 15,000 years ago. This could be something that got lost in the sands of time to this movie. It could be a whole new a connection to this. Like, it could bind everything together in a way.
What about Snoke? What if at some point in his life he wasn't so bad, but because the dogmatic Jedi were just so like we don't like you, and they just ruined him. What if could they set Snoke up as a sympathetic guy at some point?
Yeah, I think that's a lot of the way he looks, his baby blue eyes, his skin tone, his attire. I really think they're going in that direction where you're going to be like, man, like, Snoke's kind of making a bit of sense, and he's pretty wise.
He's not that bad. Again, like I said, the fundamental question: are Star Wars movies about fun and adventure and rooting for the good guy, or should they be something else? I'm not convinced that Star Wars should do that on the big screen. In fact, I will say they should not. I think Star Wars movies should always be about fun, adventure, and rooting for the good guy. What's your final answer?
I can't argue with that. I sort of agree. I like the plain and simple, blast. It was fine to watch stormtroopers get blasted because they were faceless bad guys. You know what I mean? And that's okay.
Yeah, and if you want to explore all this other stuff and making bad guys sympathetic, I'm fine to read that in a novel or book, video game, whatnot. But I think the movies need to follow the fun and delightfulness, so to speak, of the old Lucas movies. Corey, what's your final answer?
I kind of agree with you guys, but I want to go in a different direction in the sense that, they, in my opinion, they can have carte blanche to build a universe. If it's written right and it's done right, it can set up a whole new thing and whatever. So I will say it's definitely plausible to see that kind of story. And it could be awesome too, that always pending on how it's written.
Yeah, but do you want it?
No loopholes, Corey. You dirty cheat.
What was that? Can you say that in my good ear?
No loopholes, Corey. You dirty cheat.
Yeah. That means answer the question,
Do
Corey.
I want to see it? If it's done right, I do want to see it.
If it's done right. Okay. That's a heck of a caveat.
A bit of a loophole. Yeah.
You just got told twice no loopholes, and you're still loopholing.
You dirty cheat.
All right, ads. I can't wrangle this cat anymore. It's impossible, as you can tell. Thank you, sir. I hope you're feeling better at this point. Oh God. Okay.
Thanks for the great question, ads. Yeah, man. Camping is
again.
great, and getting sick is terrible. But we look forward to hearing from you next week, buddy. Take care.
All right.
I love you, man.
We love you, man. Okay, and we'll round out the show with our good buddy Bradley down in Texas, who says, "Hello, gentlemen. Hope your week went well. My week has been hot. All week we have had 100-degree temps down here. It's weeks like this I wish I lived in the mountains or further north like Alaska." That doesn't get further north than that. Cooler temperatures and lower humidity would be nice right about now. I know y'all have some of that up there. Could you mail me some? I will pay the shipping. Just wait, Bradley. I'm sure some of this cold air will make its way to you at some point. Where am I here? Okay, my first question is another get to know you question. When was the Commonwealth Network created? And in what order did each podcast jump on board? I've been a listener since late May, early June, and have not heard the story of the network's inception. My second questions are Star Wars related. First off, do you think we will see more Force visions in The Last Jedi? Second, do you think we will see more than one Force vision in The Last Jedi? And third, will we see someone other than Rey have a Force vision? Fourth, do you want to see any or all of these in The Last Jedi? And lastly, that would be fifth, do you consider Luke's encounter with Vader / himself in the cave on Dagobah a Force vision? I think we will see another Force vision, possibly two, and I'm starting to think that someone other than Rey will have these visions. Maybe Luke. Maybe. As far as Luke in the cave, I'm the one who chooses to believe his encounter on Dagobah was a Force vision. Looking forward to your answers. A side note, went and saw Homecoming last night. Awesome. Love me some Spider-Man. That is another thing we have in common. Well, boys, I've said enough. Hope you enjoy this week's questions, and as always, may the Force be with you. Cheers, Bradley.
You went to go see Homecoming?
Yeah. No, I didn't go. You dummy. Bradley went. Stay on the ride.
Oh. Sorry.
All right, so let's break this down. I'll recount. Come back with me to the halcyon days of early 2016, and I will do my best to recount how the Star Wars Commonwealth Network was created and the order in which each podcast jumped on board. So, boy,
The year was.
I'm just gonna say, like, I know the order and I know a bit of the story, but Kyle's definitely the guy to tell this story.
jeez, I'm not even sure. Like, I've been mulling this over. I don't even know if I know the full story because it just evolved over time. It didn't just happen. But Bradley says he's been around since late May and early June, but doesn't it feel like so much longer? Like, it feels like he's just like furniture around here now.
Seriously.
Yeah, way to ingratiate yourself, Bradley. That's tremendous to just become part of our DNA so quickly. So when I jumped on Twitter, sometime in October of 2015, before TFA, like I was building this site up and prepping the podcast before, like in the couple months before TFA. And then I think on Twitter I connected with Mark, and we just exchanged a quick DM saying, "Hey man, can't wait to like chat Star Wars with you." Absolutely. And then we went our separate ways for a while. And we just kept crossing paths on Twitter. And then we got to emailing each other. I don't have any dates.
Is this while you were podcasting?
Oh yeah, this is early on. This is like January, February of 2016. So The Force Awakens is like still pretty hot out of the oven. And I think by this point I'd also connected with Rob Wade and definitely Rob Williams at Gen X-Wing. He plays a role in this too. And I can't remember if I was joking around with Rob Wade or Mark. And
I think it was Mark.
Maybe. And if they're listening, maybe they can help clear it up. Because of the British Commonwealth thing and us as Canadians being a part of it, we started talking about, we should set up this whole Star Wars Commonwealth thing. So yeah, that sounds great. Let's do that someday. And then, we kind of like half joked about it for a little while because nothing really happened. And by this point now, Rob Williams from Gen X-Wing, he's also in on the jokes. Again, British Commonwealth stuff. And then I think through email one day, again, I don't remember if it was Rob Wade or Mark, and I said, "When are we going to do this podcast network thing? I think we should probably do that now." And it was still like a half joking thing. And the reply was, "Yeah, let's get on that." And so then Rob Williams and Mark and myself, we said, "Okay, what is the point of this? How are we going to do it?" And really, it's really simple. I think any network is just there to help promote each other and to share each other's work. We all believe in what each other are doing. So we decided to band together. And I think Mark went and bought StarWarsCommonwealth.com and put up a quick site. And then I became a TSW VIP just to help him with the costs for buying another domain. And the awesome byproduct of that is that I get all their awesome TSW VIP content. Yeah, that was it. So the three of us launched, and I think that was officially, I think it's about a year now that the network's been a thing. But officially announced, I think it was more like September of 2016. That's when I put the blog post on my site. But I think more or less it's been a done deal for, I'd say, at least 11 months.
I definitely want to say that you, Rob Williams and Mark and Rob Wade, whatever, everybody, you guys did a lot of heavy lifting. And I remember the early talks. I remember before it was a thing. Like, we're just talking Star Wars Commonwealth, like as soon as I joined Twitter in March of that year, and I started podcasting with you, and you were like, "You join Twitter, like it'll be help the show." I was like, okay, and it's like right away. I think my first follower is Talk Star Wars, and then right after that, following that is probably Generation X-Wing or something like that. Just.
No, we're
so cool.
We're peas in a pod here.
Joke,
It's a peas in a pod type thing. Because TSW is no secret. TSW and Gen X-Wing are my appointment listening for the week. Like I over my dead body that I will get to the end of a week and not have heard their shows unless unless there are no shows to listen to, which is rare. Then as far as the order of joining, I think there was the three of us, and we went along that way for a while.
I know the order.
Do you? Okay, let's see if you know it.
Okay, it was Talk Star Wars, Tumbling Saber, Gen X-Wing, Rogue Pod Squad.
Yeah, the Rogue Squadron podcast was next.
Skyhoppers.
Correct.
Nerd Room.
Yep.
And then the San Diego Sabers.
Yep. The San Diego Sabres radio podcast was, I mean, that's still a pretty fresh thing. It's about a month or so. But that's the quick story, and I believe that is the correct order. Anybody who's listening can feel free to correct, but yeah, there you go. It's been about a year, and it's been a lot of fun. I mean, we have our little private side chat for the Commonwealth. Yeah, I mean, we do really try to like support each other and help each other out. It's really fantastic.
Definitely, like I feel a connection, even though that like. The thing with me is that I'm new to Twitter and whatnot, so...
No, you're not. It's been well over a year. You're not new anymore.
Not new anymore. Okay, I'm not a virgin anymore, but it's been so good to connect with people, and sometimes people don't even necessarily realize the impact you've had, or they've had. Like, everyone from the Commonwealth, I've spoken to pretty much everyone at this point, and it's really been... awesome.
Everybody brings something different, and that's what makes it cool. Yeah, all right. So that's the history of the Commonwealth. James, that's kind of how you remember it too?
Yeah, I just want to add, when we were sort of putting it together, it's not like we said, let's make a network and then said, who else wants to be part of a network? It really was more those guys were doing, what we were doing. We were really like enjoying Talk Star Wars and Gen X-Wing, we were fans of theirs and friends of theirs that wanted to do something together, and not podcasters who said, let's build a network and then find people to join us, Well,
that's it. Like, I was trying to support Kyle, and then I got on board and been having so much fun, and then these just people out of nowhere, out of left field, like, start talking, and it's amazing.
Yep. No, it's been fantastic in every sense of the word. All right, so on to Bradley's other questions. So, do you think we will see more Force visions in The Last Jedi? James, I'll let you answer that one first.
I absolutely do think we will see more Force visions. I think this is like a new thing that we'll see going forward in Star Wars movies. And do I go straight to part B, where who else will have them?
Let's just try and go around. We'll go around the table. Corey, yes or no to more Force visions?
200%.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I'm also 100%. A yes. 3 for 3. So yes, we will see more Force visions in The Last Jedi. So question number 2, back to you, James. Do you think we will see more than one Force vision in The Last Jedi?
Yes.
Interesting. Corey?
Yes.
I am a no. Anybody want to... So, Corey, expand on your thoughts a bit.
I think there's a whole lot of possibilities here. We got Luke, we got Rey, we got Kylo. I don't think we're going to get into the mind of Snoke in this film. Luke can have a bit of a moment where it's a bit of a game changer. Rey has already had a vision. She could have more. And from what I gather, Kylo's already had visions of Rey and, the future, the possible future.
Yeah. All right, James, you want to expand on your thoughts on why we're going to get more than one?
I just think there's going to be a lot of information. From what we've seen so far, we're going to get action in this movie. We didn't get a whole lot of hand-to-hand action. I think we're going to get a lot more of that, especially at the beginning of this movie. And just in general, I'm hoping it's a pretty action-based movie. But if it is heavy in action, it's hard to tell a lot of story. And I just think that's a really nice tool for them to be able to give a lot of information in a short amount of time. So it's not specifically like I'm waiting for a specific Force vision. I'm going to say like, oh no, we have to see this. I'm just thinking in terms of like filmmakers wanting to tell a story and fit everything into the confines of somewhere near 120 minutes. I think it's a really good way for them to deliver a lot of important information.
That's a solid take.
Good voice.
No, that's a solid take. Yeah, I just saw it as, you know, we're not. I don't think we'll see Luke's Force visions at all. I think he's sort of our guide in a way through this. I think
what about the game changer moment for him? Like, what if he needs to realize something in this film still too? You know what I mean?
I mean, it's possible. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying I think if we get a Force vision, we'll get one more Force vision from Rey. I think she's the one that gives, like, the movie. I think we see through her, and I don't know that they're going to turn to it too much. So I think we get one Force vision from Rey in this movie. I think if we get a second one, we get Kylo's version of that. But I'm going to stick to, you know, we just see this through Rey's lens.
Or how about this, guys? I know I talked to you guys about this on Messenger. Bradley, mull this over, man. What if, you know, the Force vision we've already seen, the Force tree or the fire that Luke's watching with R2 when he lays his hand on R2. What if it's not from the past?
I believe you called it caress. Caresses R2.
Yeah, he caresses R2's head, whatever. It's not a past vision. It's a future vision of him actually burning the Force tree, in the sense that the Jedi should end, as opposed to him sitting back and watching his own Jedi temple burn. From what I gather, if his temple's been burnt and whatever, he's on the run. He's got to get out of there. You know what I mean? He's not sitting there like touching R2 and being like, this is horrible. Like, I see him almost like, I really think this is plausible. I'm not going to hang my hat on it or anything, but more and more I think about it, it's very plausible.
I think it's plausible. I don't think it's likely, but it's plausible. I can't shoot it down.
In my head, it's a 50-50.
Yeah, but I don't think we can ever get you to commit to anything.
Press the button, James.
It's not loaded and ready to go. Damn it all to hell.
You dirty cheat.
Corey, you dirty cheat.
I'm going to make that my ringtone when Corey calls. Okay, so we kind of answered question 3. Will we see someone other than Rey have a Force vision? I say no. James?
Again, I'll say yes.
All right, and Corey? Oh, James, did you say who you think it will be?
I didn't, but I'll say, yeah, Kylo. If someone else is, I'll agree with Corey. It could be Kylo. Could be Luke too, though. But I'll hang my hat on Kylo.
And
I'll
Corey.
I want to leave all three in the midst. We got Rey, Luke, and Kylo. Possible Force visions. Yada yada yada.
Oh my god. All right, so fourth, do you want to see any or all of these in The Last Jedi? I'll say yes. I want Rey's vision to continue. Like James said, it's exactly that. It's a lot of info, a lot of lore in a very short time. And I think that's what this saga is doing. It's laying groundwork for stuff that has happened in the past that we're yet to see, that we will eventually see, but these Force visions will give us a lot of context into that. So, Corey, do you want to see these?
I don't know how many I want to see, but I think more than one is adequate.
Whoa.
One is adequate, but I would like to see more than one.
All right. Okay. More than one is adequate. That could also be an alternate title for the show. More than one is adequate. James.
I like them. I like the Force vision. I think it was fun. If you look at like what we broke down the most, who is Snoke, who are Rey's parents, what was that Force vision? Probably top 3 things that we've dissected most from the last movie. So I think they're fun, and yeah, hit us.
All right. And lastly, do you consider Luke's encounter with Vader / himself in the cave on Dagobah a Force vision? James, you want to? We'll snake and ladder this thing. Do you want? Or do you think that's a Force vision?
I'll say yes.
All right, Corey.
What's that? I stepped away.
Luke on Dagobah when he fights Vader / himself in the cave. Is that a Force vision?
Vision.
All right, so yeah, the answer is yes. It is. It's a Yoda-induced Force vision. But I'll say
I don't even know if it's I think it's a Force tree-induced Yoda vision. Like
no, Yoda
just
did
like,
it.
hey,
Yoda
no,
made it
I
happen.
don't necessarily. I don't think so.
Okay, I mean you're okay.
I think it's more like Yoda's like, hey man, you're taking in there what you want to bring with you. Figure it out for yourself. It's not that Yoda's saying like, I'm gonna make your father come at you and it's yourself and blah blah blah. Like I think that tree is strong with the dark side, and Yoda even tells him that. And he's just like, whatever you're taking in there, like your weapons, you don't need them, man. Like just be cool. But Luke's not cool, and he's just like, yeah, I'm gonna take my weapons and bring my aggression with me.
Okay. And I think that's it. But I'll say that as a kid, I didn't know what the hell was going on in that scene.
Oh yeah, dude, that's a traumatizing moment for a kid. Like when I saw that helmet explode and see Luke's face and his eye smoldering, I was like, "What's going on?
What happened here?"
Yeah, like I'm so confused. And I like look at you for guidance, and you're just like,
Huh?
"Yeah, I don't know, man.
I have no idea.
don't know." It's like I'm gonna go upstairs now. No, that came at the Vader scene.
All right, that is it. Bradley, sir, thank you once again. You are a prolific question asker, sir. I love it.
Yeah, Bradley.
And I'm glad.
Hats off again.
I'm
Thanks,
glad you
man.
went to go see. Yeah, thank you very much, and I'm glad you went to go see Homecoming.
Yeah, man, we got something else to talk to Bradley about. Spidey. All right, guys, that is it for episode 86 of the Tumbling Saber podcast. Corey, James, you guys have anything left to say before we pull the plug on this one?
I love you guys.
No,
that
was fun.
You talking to us, or you talking to everybody out there?
I'm talking
Same thing.
I was talking to you guys in specific, but now that you mention it, I'm talking to everyone, man.
I think it's another loophole.
Long live summer. But I was talking to you guys originally. But I do love everyone. Love you guys.
Such a hippie. All right, James. Anything? Any parting words?
Yeah, my parting words are, damn it.
Now it comes Corey. You dirty cheat.
There they are.
Beautiful.
I love you, man.
That's amazing. So ads, Bradley and Tim at the Nerd Room. Listen, guys, if you are not listening to the Nerd Room, you are making a big mistake with your life. You need to rethink things. Tim and Troy and Sanjay break down.
So good.
They're
So good.
It's a great show. If you're into the comic book stuff and the movies and the comics themselves and collecting, they are the guys you need to be listening to.
100%. I couldn't agree with you more there, man. Like I'm hooked on that pod.
It's a great show. It's terrific listening. Love it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to episode 86 of the Tumbling Saber podcast. If we could ask you so kindly to head over to iTunes or Apple Podcasts, I think as it's now called, and leave us a quick review. That would be amazing, and we will happily read that on the show. And again, we've talked about the Commonwealth all night here, but head over to StarWarsCommonwealth.com and check out some of the other shows on the network. Give them some love and lend them your ear. It's well worth your time. Some great people doing some really terrific work, worthy of your time, I'm sure. And stay tuned. Later this week, we have another rousing edition of Sith Disturbers coming at you. Excited to drop that in your earballs. So enjoy your week. Stay cool, Bradley. And we'll catch you guys later.
watching, listening, every moment, wanting all of you. And I believe I can save you. Just don't let me go. And I can see I'll be waiting, always waiting. Just don't let me go. Just don't let me go. Time goes on and I'm questioning all the things I've seen, crazy things I've seen as I'm watching you. I'm watching you walking away from me. Were you watching me? Was it just a dream? Just a dream. And I believe I can save you. Just don't let me go. And I can see I'll be waiting, always waiting. And I believe I can save you. Let me save you. And I can see I'll be waiting, always waiting. Just don't let me go. Just don't let me go. Don't let me go. And I'm waiting. And I'm waiting. And I'm waiting for you.
No loopholes, Corey. You dirty cheat.